But yeah, this is the most critical thing you can do in your business. You should be thinking about this from day one, or when you think about starting up your business. And if you've already started your business, you should be thinking about this now. So today's training is all about systems, systemizing your business. How many people get into business with the dream of thinking that it's going to give them more freedom, more time? That is a bit of a fallacy. You've got a lot more responsibilities when you open a business, but there's a massive difference between a business and a solopreneur. So somebody that a difference between a solopreneur or a sole trader and a business is that a sole trader is reliant, like the business, like the product or the service they offer is solely reliant on that person. So if you remove that person from the business, that business will cease to move forward. The main reason that most businesses are solopreneurs and sole traders and not businesses, so that's kind of contradicts what I'm saying, but the main reason a lot of business activities, not an actual business, and it's a solopreneur instead of a business, is because of the lack of systems. The reason there's a lack of systems is most people, they're quite boring to put together, if you're being totally honest. So if I'm being totally honest, it's not something people enjoy. It's always something that people always think, okay, I'll do that later on when I need it. When I need to scale up, I'll do that later on. But the problem is, often when you get to the stage of needing to scale up and you want to scale up, or when you're scaling up, is often once you're getting so busy. And once you're so busy, everything's already in your head. You're then fighting fires every day. You've not got time to put the systems and processes together because you're too busy. You're stretched. If you've done a good job of starting up your business and getting going and getting started, this will leave you a bit stretched, leaving you no time to now start getting the stuff in your head out of your head. We all think it's as easy as just hiring somebody and they'll come in and they'll read our brains and just do everything like miraculously exactly how we'd want it to be done. We give them a few prompts, sit down, explain them a few things. We'd expect them to have a memory, like a photogenic memory. So every time we sat down and explained them a few things, they're going to remember every single little nuance. I hear it all the time, like business owners or solopreneur owners saying, I did tell them last week to do it like that. And sometimes I say to people, have you got a procedure written down? Is there a process? Is there some training there for them? Or did you just tell them? Because the memory is a very poor source of memory, and especially if you are jumping into a company, and like especially a company like in property where there's loads of moving parts. So if there's loads and loads of moving parts and you jump into this business and somebody bombards you, showers you with loads and loads and loads of tasks and loads of little nuances and loads of little steps that you've got to remember, it's going to be pretty much nigh on impossible to remember that. So you need good processes and systems in place for that. But yeah, this is the most critical thing you can do in your business. You should be thinking about this from day one, or when you think about starting up your business. And if you've already started your business, you should be thinking about this now, not like when I get to this stage, when I do that. Think about it now, because yeah, this is the thing that's going to liberate you. Even if you want to stay a solopreneur, some people don't want a big business. That's absolutely fine. There's nothing wrong with being a solopreneur where you are the business, you know. A lot of people, like, if you're like, let's think of some businesses, service-based businesses, like you're a hairdresser, you're a massage therapist, you're a tattooist, and you just do the work yourself. It's not a business. It's not being mean or anything. It's just, you're just a solopreneur, like you're sole trader, solopreneur. So that's absolutely fine as well. That's fantastic. But what you got to think about is where you want to be in and what you want to and what you enjoy. If you enjoy being a solopreneur and doing it all and doing everything yourself, you might be like a therapist or something like that, and you're like, yeah, I want to do everything and be hands on myself with that. Then that's absolutely fine. But even if you are a solopreneur, you still want to have a strong system in place, because you're probably going to want to hire people. Not probably, you definitely want to hire people even if you're a solopreneur. And the people you want to hire is definitely virtual assistants or VAs, like people to do the low value tasks, like in your business, administration tasks. But you want to find, some people enjoy administration as well. Most entrepreneurs, if you do a profile test, are more sort of like creatory and inventive type people. So, but if you enjoy like if you enjoy administration tasks, that's fine. But that said, you've got to look at the value of them tasks. They're lower value in your business. They're valuable tasks. It's not to like demean anybody you outsource them to, but again, this is why it works so well with virtual assistants, because you can find some people in parts of the world where the job opportunity is not so large, so you give them a great opportunity and a great wage, a lower wage for you, a good wage for those. So yeah, it's a really like, even if you was just a therapist or a personal trainer, any of these things that you could be a solopreneur, it relies on you. You still would want to get. I still encourage you to get a virtual assistant. You get virtual assistants for £2, £3, £4, £5 an hour. So think about all the administration tasks, the invoicing, the bookkeeping. All these things can all be outsourced if you've got the correct systems, and that just frees you up to just work with clients. So even if you was a massage therapist, even if you was a PT, like personal trainer, think it probably takes you an hour, maybe 2 hours, maybe 3 hours a week, sitting down, doing all your paperwork, putting together the invoices, going through the emails, going through your social media, your marketing bits, where then 3 hours could have been spent with a client. If you're a personal trainer who earns £50 an hour, I'd say £25 an hour, you've got 3 hours extra to work with clients, especially if you're busy and you get more clients than you can service. You've got extra 3 hours to work with clients. Then 3 hours, you can earn £75. If you outsource that for just £5 an hour, that's a higher end, by the way, that's costing you £15. So you're not down £15 by outsourcing it. You are up £60 by concentrating on the things that's gonna pay you more. Also, again, if you know it's going to pay you more and you haven't got enough clients, what you should be concentrating on is not the administration task. It should be concentrating on getting more clients. That will be one of the higher level tasks to concentrate on. So yeah, absolutely. Ed, I see you on today. Ed, me and Ed had a one-to-one on a coaching call yesterday, and Ed asked me about doing videos and content when like just putting yourself in the mood. Today, Ed, was one of those days. My son was up last night. I hurt my neck a little bit in the gym, so every time I was moving in my sleep, it was waking me up, so I really poor sleep, and I really wasn't feeling it. I don't know what I mean, that Siri says there. I really wasn't feeling it today, Ed. But that said, I've done a little breathing exercise, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, I stuck the camera on, pushed my energy up, switched my state, and here I am. So yeah, it was one of those days for me today. Alex, it's fine for me, Ed, maybe refresh. Hear and see you fine, not sure it's just me, but the sound is out of time with your speaking. Okay, yeah, I'm not sure what I could do with that, saying that. But okay, let's get started around, let's get started. Facebook algorithms are really compressed at the moment. It is a really little bit disheartening with what's going on with it. But that said, we're going to keep on marching on and soldiering on with this. So let's try and get this up here so we can see this. So if you can let us know if I'm cut out or my head's cut out or anything like that, that'd be great. So systems, how to systemize your business. I will give you a process of systemizing your business. But before I give you the process of systemizing your business, what I'm going to talk about is you've got your systems, and you've got your systems are very, very important. Systems, processes, and procedures. But without a good team, the systems are useless. And if your team don't implement the systems, again, they are useless. The systems are not going to do anything for you. You can let me know if you can see it's okay. You can see that okay. Let's have a double check. If anybody in the comments can let me know. Not so many people on. Yeah, I can see it on there, so I'm guessing we can. I'm going to get going. So systems and team go hand in hand. If you've got a good team without systems, it will fold down. If you've got a good systems without a good team, again, it'll fold down. You need these to marry together. If you've got a good team and you've not got proper systems, you'll luck out to keep hold of that team, because what they'll just get fed up and just overwhelmed and peed off with the way it's operating, and you could potentially lose them to a company that has got good systems, that attracts them in and looks after them better. The hard thing is when you're growing, it's a constant evolution as well, because each level of growth you'll get, if you do want to continue to grow, the systems need to be updated. They all constantly need updating anyway, purely because software changes, your processes changes. If you get more staff members, quite often your team will start out maybe with just you. Well, not maybe, it's definitely starts with you. So what a good exercise to do is an operations chart. So this is in the E-Myth. If you've not read the E-Myth, great book. Oh, bloody hell, what's happened there? Let's see if we can stable that up a little bit. Let's have a little spin around. If you've not read the E-Myth, a fantastic book to read is the E-Myth. It just covers this subject really, really well. So let's put this up there, E-Myth. And what does the E-Myth stand for? It stands for the entrepreneurial myth. That E-Myth, that's what E stands for in E-Myth. And there is an entrepreneurial myth out there. People, like, say you're an hairdresser, or say you're a mechanic, you're working for your boss and you go to yourself, and he calls it an entrepreneurial seizure, and you're working for them, you think, I'm doing everything, and you think being a mechanic or being the hairdresser is the part of it. Or people say to you, oh, you're a great cook, you should open up your own bakery, you should be doing this on your by yourself. And you think, yeah, because I can cook, I can open up my bakery. Being a cook in the bakery, let's have a look at over here, see if you see this. So let's say you was a cook and you was opening a bakery up, and you're the cook. The cook is one small cog in this wheel. This is a really terrible cog there that I'm trying to draw. This is one small part of it. You've got accounts. You've got bookkeeping. You've got marketing. You've got HR. You've got management. You've got recruitment. And I can't squeeze any more on, but the list goes on. This is only one. The actual technician in the business is only one small part. As you can see, there's a lot more parts to this. You know, you've got people management, you've got psychology. There's absolutely tons to a business, especially when you get other people involved with it. So that's just a small part. So without all these systems in place, so this is the reason why McDonald's does well. The reason why you can go to Hong Kong, you can go to Amsterdam, you can go to London and get the same Big Mac, same service. The reason it does well is because it's systemized. Firstly, to train people, onboard people, recruit people, attract people, because it's reliable. And secondly, it is reliable in what you get. Whether you like McDonald's or don't like McDonald's, you know what you're going to get every time you go into one of them places. As I said, no matter where it is around the world, you know if you order a Big Mac, it's going to be the same. You're going to get the same service, and that's what people like, that predictability. If you go in, it's slightly random each time, and it's slightly cooked different. The fries are how they are one time, and they're soft another time, and like, if all these things are variable, people don't like variability. They like predictability. The brain likes predictability. So that is what drives it forward. That's why Costa does well. That's why any big franchise does well. It's off the back of the systems. And the E-Myth explains this really, really well. And they've got a thing in there called the organisation chart. So in the org chart, what you do is, if you're starting out a business from scratch, or even if you've got one there, you want to put a little chart together with a list of hierarchy in there and a list of like the roles in there. So what you do is, at the top, this is like your CEO or your owner. You've got your ops manager or your DM, your directing manager, and then he has all the managerial roles. So it might be accounts manager, this might be marketing manager, this might be lettings manager if you're talking about property. Then underneath here, you put down all the little roles that go underneath it. So underneath the accounts manager, you might have an administrator, the marketer might be social media, and you do all the different roles. And then what you want to do is, offer these roles, account manager, DM, manager, and lettings, off these roles, what you want to do is then, let's put a different colour on there, is create all of, put the names in there, but create all of the roles that are the responsibilities to them roles, to that person, you know. So in a directing manager, it might be like the meetings and planning. So you put it in all their different roles. So you write a list out of all these. You write the names in there. Your names are going to go in each one of these departments at the start, because it's going to be you running it. And then as you hire your first person, you might hire them, and they might be a blend across there, and you still might be in one of these roles here also. So, and then as you keep on hiring, you keep on putting people into these slots and into these places. So once you've got your list of what all the roles are in your business, that gives you a real starting point. So once you're there with that, it's a case to start systemizing the list of these things. So to systemize things, I think there's a real way how you systemize it. First of all, I'll talk about systemize, but knowing what to systemize and what to systemize first, because you'll never be able to do this all at once. And if you did do it all at once, it won't all be applicable, because you won't know every area how to do it correctly. In some of the areas, you might be just doing it I heard this yesterday. So you think about all the areas. You as an entrepreneur, there'll be areas where you've got strengths and some areas you're not so strong at. So for me, like administration, bookkeeping, I'm probably like 3 or 4 at some of them tasks, you know, because I'm not good at them. So what you want to, and at some other end of the task for me and my abilities, I'm a 10 at. So what you want to do is all the areas, all these different areas around here, you want to look at the ones you've got lower task at and potentially hire them in first. But you've got to look on, you've got to be aware of where your time's getting spent. So what I suggest people start that with is awareness, and there's a process around this. So awareness is key for everything in the mid. Awareness is key. I'm not sure if I'm spelling this correctly, by the way, guys. I'm a bit dyslexic, so apologies on any spelling. This is here not for a grammatical lesson, and even if I can say that right, I'm not very good at pronunciation as well as spelling. This is just here to give you a little bit of a visual, helps with learning. But it all starts here with awareness. And that's with anything really in life. You've got to be aware of your actions and things that's going on. So awareness will be, what I suggest people do is run a time in motion study. To be aware where your time's being spent. Once you know where your time's being spent, you can then start knowing, look, you can look at these areas, you can look at where your strengths are, and you can like really start thinking about the stuff that you should be concentrating on and what you shouldn't be doing. And at that stage then, what you want to do is create yourself a not to do list. Everybody's got their to do lists, but you want to get a not to do list because you want to be thinking about the stuff you need to be getting off your plate the quickest. It's usually administrational stuff and things like that. So once you're aware and once you've got your not to do list, it's then around creating the systems, and you think about these areas and these roles, and you'll get your not to do list. You then want to think, okay, what are the 4 top priorities? You want to think over here. You want to be thinking. You want to think to yourself, what are the income generating tasks after you've done your not to do, and what are the lower value tasks for you? They're lower value for you, but a higher value for somebody else, particularly who's more skilled in that. So you over here, you really want to be thinking about that. So you get your not to do ones at the top. You think about eliminating, delegating, or automating the certain bits, but think about which are the key tasks that you should be concentrating on. By the way, often these are the things that scare you the most, and often you do these lower value tasks to justify in your head you're busy while you haven't done the higher value tasks because they're just a bit more scary. The thing is, the low value tasks won't reward you in the end. You will be more rewarded unless you're aware of this. And as I said, awareness is key. Let's put a double little bit over that. Awareness is really key to moving forward, because our mind, the easiest person to lie to is ourselves. So our mind will tell us, yeah, we're doing this and we're doing that, but the truth is, well, we're probably not, because we're too easy to lie to ourselves, and it's too uncomfortable admitting that we're not achieving what we're meant to be achieving. It's like kind of calling yourself a failure. None of us like to do that. So being aware, having that time emotional study just tells you that there, like where your time's being spent, and then you can replan that and start aligning that. You can either take control of your time, or time can take control of you. So if you let time take control of you, I promise you'll just drift. And even when you're proactive and you're motivated and you're driven, if you don't schedule your time, it won't get done properly. So you've got to really think about these important tasks and schedule them in correctly. So awareness is really key around that. So I said, once you've created your not to do list, you then want to think about all these parts and the parts that are not important to you, and start creating your manuals and your processes. So, definitely spelling that wrong. So once you, what I suggest by doing this is, most of these ones that you want to outsource first of all, which are lower value to you, as I said, I don't want to discredit anybody, are a lot of administration tasks, accounting, bookkeeping sort of tasks. Loads of these things can be done on online. So this is called, and I love this, Tony Robbins, I heard this from Tony Robbins, this is called, it's an acronym, it's called NET time, and it stands for no extra time. So most of the all the things that you want to outsource, you're doing yourself at the moment. So if you just start off by recording these, doing a screen recording of these. You're going to then have a sort of process together, like the basis of your process together to outsource it. So this is a system on creating a system and to outsource it. So as I said, these two go hand in hand, team and team. So without the systems you won't, without the team you won't implement this. Without the systems, the team won't implement properly either. So you really want this system around this. So now you've got what to systemize. This is how you start systemizing it with these processes. You then, what number are we on now? We're on 1, 2, 3 here. What you then do is you then got to find your like little dream team member. I suggest everybody start with a VA. Hiring people is difficult. My first hiring process was literally this. Oh yeah, what you up for it? Here you go, here's a laptop. Get started. Try not to bother me. Do it yourself. Liberating them. I read the 4-hour work week. I wanted to outsource everything, but what I've done is I created a mess by doing that. You really need these processes in place. So it's really, really important. So even hiring people, it's important to have a process to hire people. So like what you want to do is when you hire, you want to qualify and disqualify process to take people through to make sure they're a good fit for who you are. So it starts obviously over here with your ad. You really want to make sure you get attract some decent people. Put a good bit of you in your ad. Put things in the ad like I want someone proactive and things like that. Then you give them like you ask them to either do a vid or a voice. So a voice message. I'm just going to put VM there. So you want to do a video or voice message like to answer a few questions. If you've asked somebody to be proactive, enthusiastic, tell them in the thing of a small company, so it's still a bit hectic, so you need to be able to roll your sleeves up, things like that in the advert, and somebody leaves a video, or don't leave a video straight away, they're deselected themselves. If they've not got the effort to leave a video if you've asked them to, or at least a voice message, then they're going to deselect themselves. Again, if they, depends what role it is with a voice message or video. Some roles I would ask for a video, some I would ask for a voice message. But you really want to get a feel for them. Again, if they pick up the phone, whether it's a video or whatever it is, in it they're really, I'm not sure what question number 2 means. One, they're not enthusiastic, so they're not reading the job description. And number 2, they're not proactive and solution based, what you've got in your advert. So straight away, deselected as well, really, really quickly without you having to go through that. Then you want to get to your interview stage. And make sure you've got some really, really good questions to run through. So you want things in there that finds a little bit about their values, about them, a little bit about around the role, and a little bit of an awkward question to see how they think outside the box. Try and find some questions that you think they're definitely not going to have the answer to. I've been interviewing people this week we're taking on again and going through the interviews. And yeah, I feel embarrassed interviewing people like this, but it has to be done. And then you want your next stage, which is, so this is your post, like once you've got your advert out, this is your Q&D. Let's see if I can get this in. This is your Q&D pre, and then you want a post Q&D where you send them over a few more tests. And what I mean by this is, so when you want to hire people, you want to make sure their effort's right. Most people think they want something. Even if they actually want something, they haven't always got the effort to put in to get what they want. Most people want money, but they're not got the effort to put themselves out there, push themselves out of their comfort zone and put the time and effort into it. Most people want to be in good shape, but they've not got the effort to go to the gym. Most people want to have a good relationship, but they've not got the effort to work on their self and their emotions and their responses to their partners to make that relationship work. So people want things, but not got the effort to put that into that. Jobs are no different. They come and they want the job. They genuinely want the job. Their intentions are to have the job, but they might not have the discipline and effort to put in there. So you want to put as many steps in here to like pre-test their effort. That's why you do the pre-interview one. You see what they like in the interview. You can't tell enough on an interview. Some people interview fantastically. Some people interview not so good. So when you put these steps in, you really, really get a feel for. If they don't interview so good, you can get a feel for what they're like outside of the interview. Vice versa, if they interview really well, you still can get a feel. Like I've hired somebody before, they interviewed great, you know. It's like, where do you see yourself in 5 years' time running your business so you can sit on the beach was basically the answer. It wasn't that exact answer, but it was along them lines. And it was like, I remember having one of the people working with me at the time doing the interview, and we both looked at each other and went, wow, yeah, that was the person. Within 3 weeks, I had to get rid of that person. They just was so good in interviewing, but when you got them integrated, they're like, yeah, that just wasn't the right fit. So I didn't do the qualifier stuff as deeply then, which I should have done, which would have identified it quicker. But it's not a bulletproof. It just gives you a higher probability. If you don't do this, the odds are really, really low. Finding talented people are hard. Also, talented people will like this because they'll see, yeah, this is you're taking it serious, and they want to be involved with something that's serious and structured and organised. So talented people will like this. So some of the post-qualifier stuff after the interview could be like a Genius U test, find out their profile. Because some people's profile might not match the role they're going for. And if that's the case, especially if you ask them about their values, you're probably not going to keep them for longevity. People turn around jobs a lot more in today's world than they used to, but you do want to try and get a bit of a retention. Like one of the interviews we done on Friday, the lady wants to be a physician. She wants to like be a doctor, you know, and she's interviewing for a marketing opportunity in my business. I'm like, we're just not going to keep. She looked really capable, but we're not going to keep her long term, are we? You know, like this is just definitely a really short stopgap. I remember the owner of the agency that I was using to find these people to interview. He's like, yeah, you can earn some money from them in the short time. Like, he was a little bit older than me. He said, I'm just giving you a bit of advice. If I can earn money as a business owner from them, happy days. And I look for the next person. I said, the thing is though, it's time and effort. Time, my biggest value. So I value my time, and like she was competent, but there's a few areas we probably had to train her in. So if she could have maybe stepped in and done everything without me thinking, then yeah, happy days. But the fact is, we had to train on a few areas, meant that, yeah, I don't want to spend that time on somebody who's definitely going to leave us. You could just tell that. So her profile probably wasn't a mix for the role, and her values, when you talked about, I asked her what she would see herself, if she had no money issues, where did she see herself reading, looking at medical things. So I was like, yeah, it's definitely not a fit, you know. She said, yeah, I just love marketing, understanding that stuff. Might have been slightly different. Also send over my values. So doing a values exercise for yourself is really, really important. Depending on what level of people I'm hiring, I sometimes ask them to do, I've got a values exercise, I sometimes ask them to do a values exercise so they can send it to me, so I can have a look over their values also to see how aligned we are. Seems like a lot, but I promise you now, it's important. You will dequalify the people that haven't got effort. If somebody's really got an effort and they really want to work with you, they will go through these steps. And when they go through these steps, it really identifies to you that they're probably a good fit for you to be bringing into your company and organisation. Once you've done that, you've then got your onboarding. Wrong colour, keep with my colour scheme. So number 5 is your onboarding. This is probably number 1 up here saying that, and this is number 2, but you'll see where I'm going with that. So then you've got your onboarding. So with your onboarding, you want to make sure you've got it mapped out and don't overwhelm them. As I said, my old onboarding was literally, here's a laptop, get on with it, don't bother me, I'll give you freedom to do what you want, like. And that was it. I'm not one of these micromanagers. I'm not one of these business owners where I feel I need to do it all myself. I can do it all better myself. I love outsourcing. This is the God's honest truth, and I'm half embarrassed to admit this. I literally just outsourced it. I knew it was a little bit of a mess because it had grown to this size. I outsourced it and just didn't really stay in contact with them, hoping that they'd just work their way through it, get on with it, and come back with it all solutioned. And what a crap way to do that. It's embarrassing to think that. But I thought if I phone them up tomorrow, they might go, what a mess this is, and just go, I'm leaving. So I thought if I leave them quiet, the longer I leave them quiet, hopefully the more they just get on with it, and the less opportunity they've got to tell me this is a mess and leave. And hopefully in between that time they've worked it out. Did that happen? No, it didn't. And I had credible people as well, but because it was too spread out, the roles wasn't clear. You won't always get this perfect, it'll always evolve, but you've got to have some line of if you want to have some line of this from day one. So onboarding is really important. So you want to spend just a little bit of time mapping out day 1, week 1, and month 1, and you want to give them a trial. Once you've onboarded them and you've picked them, you want to give them a trial on what you're doing here. So you give them a month trial and then review it again after that. Take them on as if it's a Filipino, or I'm looking in South America at the moment, if it's a VA or in India, the contractual side of it's not so much. This method works even if you hire somebody local. So if you hire somebody local, what you want to do is put them on as a self-employed and give it a trial, because the real test comes when they work with you, and it takes probably about a year, because some people's enthusiasm, even if they genuinely are enthusiastic, after a few months of getting into the role, that enthusiasm wears off and you see the real them, and you see the real way they respond to people. Some people are a bit nervous around people, not comfortable to be their self at the start, so you've got to give it a year to get the real test. And I've done that many times, started with people that are great, but after a year you see it's not quite fit, not in a bad way. They've been great at the start, but it's either their ambitions or ours didn't, just something didn't match. So spend some time thinking this out. Day one will be like induction, having your training process there. I've done some training on systems with a lady called Marion Page. I would recommend reading this book. I put this in the comments. Simple Logic Repeatable. She worked for McDonald's, very high level for McDonald's, creating systems in McDonald's. McDonald's is arguably the best one of the best systemized, not the best, but one of the best systemized business out there. They take like teenagers that don't even want to clean their bedroom and get them running a well-oiled machine, and it's because of the systems. So I've done some training with her, and on there she had an ABC training method, how you onboard it, not onboard them, how you train them, and it's about attention and so forth. But you want to go take them through that. So what you do here, where you've got your not to do list, you want to pick 3 or 4. And these are on your week one, you'll be just going over them. You've got your screen recording videos and the process is documented, and you'll be just going over them on week one, giving them some small tasks around that, giving them their logins and going over your task management software. Very important for systemization is task management software. Just found out as well, I usually advise people to use Trello or Asana, because the one I use, Basecamp, is about $100. It wasn't for me. I got it for $20 and I got grandfather rights. But I just found out they have got a reduced version where you can have free projects in there. I've got unlimited projects in there. We've got our properties is quite big. I've got multiple teams, multiple businesses, and multiple individual team members in there. But that's more than enough to start with. So get a task manager, whether it's Basecamp, Asana, Todoist, whatever one works with you. But Basecamp, I can now recommend, because I know it's free. I don't advise people at the start of the journey to pay $100 a month for something. But yeah, you'll be going over your process, and you want to get all that week one, day one, month one, all in your task management mapped out for them with all the relevant tasks in there, so it's easy for them to refer back to. You just give them a Google file document and you just talk through it and say see you later, and then they've got to go back to find it. It's overwhelming for them. They probably won't find it. Then you'll be like, if you don't understand that, you're not aware of that, and you don't realise it, you'll be like, I told them that was there, and why don't they remember? It's just mapped out for them. And if you spend just literally an hour mapping it out, it take overwhelm away from you also, because I've hired people and like, what do I give them next? And I hired somebody really good before, a VA, and I just didn't know what to give her and how to give her a proper task. So I give her less tasks, but in my head I was thinking, I'm paying so little an hour for, I don't mind. And then when I actually needed her, she wouldn't do the task, basically, because I had trained her at levels of expectation on smaller amount, and I didn't tell her what I was doing. I just thought, I don't matter, like, it's not as much money. If I'm not giving enough work, it's not her fault. I signed up for this many hours. When I needed her for that many hours, she was then pushing back, saying that basically, like, she's done her hours worth of work, and I'm like, no way, you know, like, so. It was a real pushback. It was a shame, because she was really, really talented. And what I end up doing, I use a software called Hubstaff, and basically this tracks what they're doing and what people are up to online. It's great anyway for your awareness, but also great to make sure people are doing hours. She was working with multiple other people while she's saying she's doing an 8-hour shift for me, and obviously that software found that out. But yeah, day one you'll be on board them, showing about the software, making it really aware to them that you use this software to make sure, one, they're working in the right areas and support them, but two, that they are actually doing the work. You know, I'll be transparent with them and say, look, we don't know, like, you seem trustworthy, but we've got to make sure people are doing what they're saying they're doing. If we're not sitting in an office with you, we need to see that, but also we like to be aware of where that time's going. So you be transparent, it really helps with that. But onboarding, spend a little bit of time with this. But then, once you've onboarded them, you need to have your ongoing management. Ongoing management is critical. Really, really important. Something I'm poor at as well. So again, a really important role for me is operations managers to take these parts on, because I'm really poor at managing people. My start, I started writing down loads of systems, but they weren't getting implemented because nobody was managing them, and I was the manager, and I was off buying properties, trying to do deals with people, negotiating with joint ventures, negotiating with agents, building out networks, not managing my team, and it just created a mess. So you need an operation, like you've got to be thinking about this DM or ops manager really early on. I know a lot of people are scared to do that, but you've got to free yourself up to be earning that money and for it to be running efficiently when you're not there. So I hope you can see this. If you can't see this, I'll take a screenshot, put it in the comments afterwards. So with this, basically what you want is, you want to know what your KPIs are, like key performance indicators. I've got a thing called, we call it a growth tracker. Basically, the growth tracker is, it's like an audit chart, but I don't want to call it audit. The language you use is really, really important. It just like your key performance indicators will go on this growth tracker, and what you want to do is you want to have weekly, monthly and quarterly meetings and planning things out. So ongoing management will be like 90-day planning, 90-day and 1 month planning. So I've got a process I call the 1-90-1-1, which is your year, your 90-day, your monthly, your weekly. But again, your operations manager will be going over them plans with the team and keeping them in track with their individual growth plans and the training plans. You want your ongoing training, like your individual training plans for each of these people. So this is really, really important. As I said, your growth tracker, so basically what your KPIs go into your growth tracker, and then a few of the plans for that month. So you don't want to give, you want each one of your staff members or team members, I don't like calling them staff, your team members, you want them integrated into like the company and being part of it. You keep a retention. If they feel they're growing something with you as opposed to just in the background, that would be great. But if you put too much of that growth on them, they will then think, they'll get this entrepreneurial seizure and think, I should be doing this on my own. I'm running this business for them. So there's a fine line with this. I've seen many business owners just power everything on somebody, get on with what they're doing, and that somebody then goes, I might start this myself because their whole responsibility is on me. And because there's no support systems around that, that then leaves them overwhelmed. So that's the difference between getting an operations manager in the stage where you stays low, you get them involved with that, but you also get all your team members involved with bits. So for each month, I like to give them 2 or 3 things on the business. Like it might be working out a new software, or making a manual for that software, or reviewing an old system to see if we can streamline it, something that's going to help us grow forward, you know. So your ops manager will be doing that. But as I said, your key performance indicators are from your not to do list. The first 3 or 4 tasks that you would take, if you've got 20 tasks to outsource to a VA, you want to make sure you only give them 3 or 4 when you first onboard them, because it'd be too overwhelming. So week 1 I'll be around 3 or 4. You start integrating these more, but again, if you've not got all 20 tasks processed, you don't want to give them to them either. So you just start off with getting 4 ready in this process stage. You put them 4 in the key performance indicators, so you have a spreadsheet, and then you just score them each month. But each week, in your weekly meeting, you have a little chat. Like your manager, or you will be the manager at the start, as I said, you'll be in all these roles at the start. You have that catch up, you just go over their role to say, this is your role, anything that stands out. You don't score it each week, it's just a mini catch up to say anything that stands out that you feel that you're struggling with, or you needs my attention. How's your week been? What's going on day to day? And that then keeps them reminded of what their role is, because you do it yourself. You think, well, I'm going to do this week. If you've not scheduled it and tracked it and documented it, often you'll get to the end of the month when you think you're going to do stuff, and you go, you read a book again, or you'll hear somebody talk about it. You go, I was meant to do that last month, I forgot about it. So, and again, if you're running a business with a lot of moving parts, which property businesses are, quite often your staff member might not do things purely because they've forgot, because they've got too many things on their plate. So that weekly catch up, just reading through their things and then just saying to them, is there anything you need to highlight to me? We're going to score these at the end of the month, so don't go into these in depth. We don't need to go into all of these. Anything you need to highlight with me on day-to-day operations you need my support from. And that just keeps them aligned and supported and on track of what they're meant to be doing. That's why I call it a growth tracker. One, on growth properties, but it's called a growth tracker instead of a review, because nobody likes to be reviewed. So that is basically my systemization process, to systemize and get the team involved. That's your kind of onboarding system. But I thought I'll show you my system of systemizing and onboarding, because this is what you need to have a systemized business, is the team. So thought I'd cover this both all in one. I've got a little free giveaway like I always do. I've got 101 things that I'm going to outsource to a VA for property investors. So if anybody wants that, put it in the comment. I'm creating also a 10-day challenge. It's going to be a paid one, because I feel when you pay attention. And too much free. How many times have you took something, done this, and myself included, whenever I want to implement something, I do go online, I learn a bit about it. I'm doing it with TikTok at the moment. I learn a little bit about it, but I know to be accountable to implement everything I've learned on YouTube and these other places, I'm going to pay for some training that keeps me accountable, and it's over a certain amount of days. So I'm paying for TikTok training with me and Shane, who's working with us on this. And it's going to be a 30-day one. The reason behind that is there's accountability behind it. Once you pay attention, and you know you've got that mapped out. So this is why I designed it. So many people talk about this, but don't do this. I've not finished it yet, by the way, so I'm not trying to sell it yet. Not sure what the price is going to be. It's going to be under £100 probably, or not much more if it is that. But it's going to be a 10-day challenge where we take you through this, systemizing your business, getting your VA, getting them onboarded, but all the processes and the templates and documents that go with that. So if you're interested in that, ask for the 101. Put in the comments, I'd like the 101 things you can outsource to your VA, and we'll put you in the list. And once that product's ready, we'll then send you an email with that product being ready. Even if you don't want the 101 stuff, just put, I'm interested in that, and we'll get you on a little list. Remember, if you don't evolve your ideas, you're never going to live on your own terms. If you don't systemize your business, you're not going to live on your own terms. It is a fallacy thinking that having a business will give you more time and freedom. It will give you living on your terms, but you will have more responsibility and quite often less time, especially at the start, until you get these in place. And it takes a while. You can write systems out, but it takes a while to really get them old and implemented and find that right team and network to be able to operate without you, and have the option of removing yourself from that business if you want. You might love what you do. I love what I do. I never want to remove myself, but I like the option of knowing I can go on holiday for a month. I can go, I can do the things in my business that I choose to do and not be tied to it. So that's the ultimate goal for me. It's not for everybody, but if it is for you, even if it's not, you still want some level of systemization.